Active listening. What would a coach be worth if they didn't listen? Listening is a coaching skill that can be forever developed to higher and ever higher levels. How do you know what the student's really talking about? What clues are there? And how can you use what you hear so that it supports the student in their coaching process? What are the techniques that you can use? Listening is good. What's better than just listening? It's called active listening, and it's the ability to focus completely on what the student is saying and is not saying. It's also the ability to understand the meaning of what is said in the context of the student's desires. Using what you hear to support the student's self-expression will be of great service to them. As coach, you simply act as a mirror, except that it's not light you're reflecting, it's another form of energy. The greatest service you can provide your student is to be as neutral as possible in your reflection. Imagine that you're in the middle of a coaching session, somewhere in the middle of the planned time with the student. You hear in the student's tone of voice and read from their body language some indications of what the student is really talking about, their concerns, goals, values and beliefs about what is possible and what is not possible. As coach, your aim is to be a mirror for what the student is saying, so you can use any of the following techniques to reflect back to them about their goals, values and beliefs. You can summarize. Simply say what you heard, in brief. You can paraphrase. Say what's been said in slightly different words without changing the meaning or interpreting what's been said. You can reiterate. Say exactly what the student said. The aim of this mirroring of what the student has said is to ensure clarity and understanding, their clarity and understanding, not yours. It's essential that you identify and keep to the student's agenda. When you actively listen, you will hear what the student's really talking about. You will hear their concerns, their goals, values and beliefs. This is the student's agenda and the only one you shall work with. When you summarize, be aware of what you're leaving out and ask yourself, whose agenda is this? When you paraphrase, be aware of the interpretations you make and ask yourself, whose agenda is this? Developing your skill in holding the student's agenda in focus is a challenge. This is a skill that will greatly increase the value of the coaching for the student. To this end, I recommend that you, as a teacher who coaches, get a coach. An easy way to do this is for 3 teachers to coach each other. Avoid possible confidentiality conflicts through the use of written agreements and adhering to the coaching code of ethics. Not all the active listening skills belong to the coach. Some belong to the student. Some students will try to avoid being coached by telling stories. A skill that you can teach the student is to ask them to give you the bottom line of any story they may want to tell you. It's rarely necessary for you, as coach, to hear or understand the whole story. The bottom line version is enough to establish sufficient background. Explain that you don't need to hear the whole story, and then say, imagine that you've already told me everything you wanted to say. What comes next? Another skill that's useful is getting the student to vent or clear what they're bottling up. Use it when the student is bottled up or overflowing with emotions and needs to become a little emptier in order to get to a place where they can do something about it. Ask, what do you need to say in order to be ready for coaching?